sound real quick on you.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh.
Yeah, Brandon, you good? I heard you before. You know, we
Okay.
just got.
Oh, you checking on me?
Yeah, of course. I had to check on you.
You been waiting for me the whole time?
Right?
All
I
right,
just been here bopping to the music and shit. My bad.
all right, I'm gonna get us started. Here we go.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tells Podcast. I'm your host, Rod. Joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
That's right, and we are live on a Sunday, on like for NFC, AFC, NFL championship, big day for football fans all across the world. Okay, we got Patrick Mahomes versus the coolest nigga in the world, Joe Burrow. We got Jalen Hurts, the coolest Philadelphia, the coolest black quarterback in the game, versus Brock Purdy, nigga we never heard of to this year. It's gonna be a big day, and we're gonna try to get you out of here so y'all can go watch our football. We know, this feels a little bit like black church right now, where the pastor is telling y'all we gonna let y'all get about y'all day. So but we also have a guest, my man Brandon Collins. Y'all know him, friend of the show. He's host of Medium Popcorn and of course Drunk Black History, which y'all have a live event coming up next month, right?
Yep, Thursday, February 23rd at the Bell House in Brooklyn. We got a dope lineup in store to talk about some Black historical figures or events that just haven't gotten their due, and especially given the political climate of today, they definitely need that spotlight. So if you folks are in New York, please come check us out at Brooklyn. Tickets are available at drunkblackhistory.com. We also have live stream if you're not in the New York area, so you can join and be part of the chat. Tatiana will be monitoring and sharing thoughts. Usually the online chat hates anything I say during that live show, which is always a lot of fun. But yeah, Drunk Black History, it's a lot of fun, and it's just like a really great way to elevate our people, and show that we've contributed a lot to history.
It's not all hate. It's not all hate.
Yeah,
I've been live in the chat.
Well, they think it's furious when I compared the Divine Nine to the houses in Hogwarts. Rightfully so. I was like Hogwarts, and people were like, "Oh God."
Brandon's just being self-deprecating. Everybody loves him and Gordon, and they're so funny. I highly recommend you go if you got a chance to go in person. I highly recommend if you can hop on virtually. It's always a fun time, and you learn a little something.
Yep.
But most importantly, you have a little fun. And if you're in person, you get a little drunk or a lot drunk, as some of the fans that sat close to me were. So
it's not yelling random things.
Yeah, and Brandon, is it possible to turn your mic up a little bit, or?
Yeah.
All
I
right,
can turn
give
it
me
up.
a little volume.
Sorry. Can
It's
you
all
hear me
good.
now?
Yeah.
It's morning still over here in LA, and also we went to the Star Wars bar last night, so I had a few Fantastic Four fizzes.
When you go to the Star Wars bar, is it only that one song that plays?
No,
the song in the cantina.
So they probably did do that at one period, but now the bar menu is like a bunch of stuff. It's like Marvel stuff and like other geeky sci-fi stuff. But the bar is done like the cantina from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if they play that song on loop, like there's already some stuff that the bartenders have to do that's completely insane. So just having that song on loop would make you lose your goddamn mind.
What kind of stuff do they have to do?
Right,
bro. Okay, so if you bought like the Indiana Jones drink, every time someone ordered that drink, as they're making it, they would put the switch on, so the screens that had the menu scrolling would then have a scene from Indiana Jones, be like dun 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 dun. So that happens every time they do that, and then
they have to give it to you. They have to give it to you in a broken Asian accent. Mr. Brandon.
Plus, I didn't do that because otherwise it would have been some problems. But I got the Dracarys drink, and so it comes with an orange garnish, and so they would like peel it and then light it on fire and be like Dracarys, and like it flashes. Wow. So you have to do that, and then Tati got this drink where
it sounds like it started at Star Wars.
Yeah.
They immediately realized that either that was a limited audience or just such a limited like amount of drinks and experiences that they were like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah, we got
to open this up just nerds. And so now it's just a nerd bar.
It pretty much is, yeah. But the thing is, it's like the drinks are so complicated. There's no way. It's like it reminds me of every episode of Bar Rescue, where it's like this isn't efficient enough. Like I can see why they're struggling. Probably like the kitchen was like backed up. They were like, yeah, for these cheese fries, it's going to be about 45 minutes. I was like, okay,
right, because we got to dye them green and we got to call them Star Wars cheese fries and all this.
We actually got to go pick them at the ground and wash them and clean them.
Yeah, we got to we got to go get some Funko Pops to put on the plate. Yep. So that's gonna take an hour.
I have a question. Do the robots look like the Chuck E. Cheese robots? You know, just moving around.
No animatronics. This isn't a Super Nintendo world. Yeah, this is a very low budget. They did a good job with whatever whoever the designer is, but yeah, no animatronics. That would be dope. But
because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but people don't know how to behave. Like we got to go to a sneak preview of the Super Nintendo world at the studio.
Yeah,
I want to go.
It was cool, but then you realize, like, once like the general population gets in here, all this stuff's gonna get jacked up, like, because it's very interactive. Like, you get to play like with the coin boxes and stuff like that.
You got like watches and shit. Yeah,
and it's you can just tell, like, once they get thousands of people in here, it's gonna be a free for all.
Somebody's gonna hurt themselves by slamming their head into a brick wall and thinking it's part of the exhibit.
Bro, I mean, like, there's a Bowser's Castle.
Yeah,
there's no barrier. Like, they asked for feedback from the employees, so I sent a survey. I'm like, y'all need to put a barrier because it's very easy for a kid to climb on it and just fall to their death.
Damn.
Like, it's wild.
And and then they just don't come back. They just fall down and get it.
Well,
right.
The problem is,
and your kid ends up rolling out somewhere else in the other end of the park or some shit.
Where they would fall though, it's right at the entrance of Bowser's Castle. So if you're trying to get in line for the ride, a body could just fall right in front of you. It's not good placement.
Let me tell you, the people that made this, it would be surprising if
that's the music that plays when they
when they go down. I can tell the people that made this were not American, like, because they have something like this already over there in Japan, and it's different than here. Like, the people here didn't design it, like, because you go, well, if somebody here would have designed that, they know how Americans are, and then they'd be like, we can't we need to revamp this because Americans are stupid and you can't just trust them to do the right things.
Yeah, that's definitely could be part of it, but yeah, you got to stupid proof things. It's always like a lawsuit that causes us to see, like, it's whenever you go somewhere you see like a sign that's hella obvious. It's always just because somebody did do that thing, where it's like, hey, do not jump to your death. And it's like, why the fuck they need that sign? It's like, because somebody jumped.
Yes, that's what you go hear when
that's what you're going to hear also when that's also going to be what you hear when the parents like get in a fight and someone gets knocked out. They're going to just put that sound.
And that do you remember that sad music from Mario? Is like, it's the same version of the theme song, but it's just sadder and slower.
Yes,
that's what you're gonna hear. Motherfuckers getting carried out on a stretcher.
I always had like a little bit of hate towards Mario because the Mario Nintendo Switch games are the first games I actually was able to beat. Because regular Nintendo and 64, I was never able to beat those Mario games. So I always
were hard.
I always had beef with them.
I beat them, but they were hard.
The thing for me, man, and it hurts to admit to everybody because I know y'all are fucking great gamers and y'all did this, but I didn't. I could never get that fucking thing where you jump on the turtle a whole bunch of times and get a bunch of extra lives. I could never move my fingers fast enough to get it to work. So I never, like, while these motherfuckers are like, I beat it. It's like, you beat it with 200 men. I had the preset number of men as possible in Mario Brothers. I never got to the end because I always got killed on the last level. So yeah, man, it's just my cousin could do it, and I would try to get him to do it for me, and he could just like oh yeah, you just do this and you can get you can't do that. I'm like, no, man, the turtle shell just keep killing me, bro. It's just,
my reflexes.
Yeah. But so how's everything else going out in La La Land?
I mean, it's cool, man. I'm wrapping up my new draft. I think this week I'm going to send that to the studio, so I'll get notes from them soon. Hopefully, they like the new direction I've done. And then I'm working on some other stuff. I'm working on a few other scripts in the horror genre, which is different for me and kind of exciting. And then I'm working on some pitches. Rod, I sent you some ideas that I'm working on to
Yeah.
to present to the studio within the next few weeks. So it's going well. Things are wrapping down a little bit for my time here in LA, which kind of is bittersweet, because I do miss New York a lot. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm making a lot of dope connections out here in LA and meeting a lot more people at the studio and the industry. And so I don't know. I'm just kind of like seeing what happens. I'm not trying to force anything. I'm not trying to um, push anything into existence. I'm just kind of letting things happen and just doing the work that I can, writing my ass off. That's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I say too about like writing for game theory is like I tell this to my coworker. I say this all the time, this analogy, which is it's like in the NBA right now where there's certain guys that just shoot threes from the corner
Mm.
and that's all they do. And I was like, I that's our job. The only difference is there's someone else out there that decides if we made the three. Like, unlike the NBA where like you shoot a three, if it goes in or not. You shoot a three in writing, it's like 7 white people in a room eventually go, I don't know. That could be a made three. Let's think about it. And so you can only control what you can control. And
Exactly.
so yeah, it's I think that's a healthy mindset to have, to be like, I'm not gonna force it or whatever. Cause I mean, look, God bless these people, but I always feel like it's almost delusional when you're the person that's like, I'm out here in the big city. I'm not stopping till I got 7 movies. And I'm just like, okay, brother, we work in the mailroom right now.
Exactly. Yep.
And it's also like you might want to deliver the mail the best you can today, and on your first step to the 1,000-step plan.
Yeah, and it's wild because the thing that you don't think will be what gets you to the next level is the thing that everyone ends up liking, right? Like the ideas I pitched to the studio in the summer, the one that like was the least fleshed out and the one that I thought was like everyone would be like, oh, that's fine, and then move on. Was the one that they all picked for me to write. So that's the script that I'm writing. You know what I mean? So you can never discount anything. And for me, it's just kind of like, let me just throw everything that I got in my mind out there. Something hopefully will resonate with somebody. If not, then I'll just keep writing. Like I'm not gonna stop coming up with ideas.
Right.
So I think that's the plus side is like I constantly have a bunch of ideas churning in my head. And
that's what you can control crazy. What you control is how many ideas you put out and how much work you put into putting out the ideas. But there's shit like I think everything I spit is hot fire. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I never turned in some bullshit. I've never like left for the day like, oh, that was ass today. I didn't even give a fuck. Like I always think what I put in is good, but I'm always surprised at what they pick and what they don't pick. Like there's a sketch that they chose for me to write and to flesh out that I'm like, oh, dope. That's an idea I've had for years and talked about on the podcast and stuff, and wasn't even sure would apply to this show. But somebody that of the 10 ideas, somebody was like, that's the one. And I don't know why the other 9, I don't know what they were like, why they didn't pick the other ones. It's what it is.
And it's also getting out of your head, right? It's getting out of your own head and out of your own way. Cause like, Rod and Karen, you both have attended like live media popcorn events where I've done live readings of scripts I wrote a few years ago. That definitely, I mean, to say our fans were like, wait, Bradley got into a writer's program at a big film studio. Like we've heard his writing.
It's me. I'm a fan. I'm one of the fans. Brandon's like, I'm writing scripts for the Hollywood studio. I'm like, they haven't seen your other script. Don't show them that, Brandon.
No, they didn't read Chuck. Thank God. But it's like, for a long time, and I worked this out with my therapist, I'm like, oh, I'm so weird. No one's gonna really like, know what I'm trying to do or think I'm funny. And he's like, you gotta stop saying that. Like, because even my mentors, they're like, yeah, this shit is weird. Like they're like they call it specific scenes or lines like that shit was really weird. But like that's you. So like keep doing that. Like I'm not telling you not to do that.
And it's what makes you other widows out there too. I'm sorry, Karen, you go.
No, about to sell them. And there's other weirdos out there too. No matter how weird you think you are, there's somebody else out there to go, yes, that shit is funny, or I relate to whatever it is. You're not the only one. We just think we're the only ones.
And it's honestly what makes you unique, and it makes you stand out. Like people come for the weird. If they could go to Chat GPT and ask them to come up with a script, if it was just like, hey, we need a generic blank script, like it's gonna be your experiences, the way you word things, the things you think are funny. And I think the big thing is just finding the people that vibe with it, because so much of Hollywood and all this entertainment shit is just like luck and who and if the right motherfucker is feeling your shit. Because like, if the right motherfucker is feeling your shit, it actually don't matter if other motherfuckers don't think it's funny. Like, that's one thing I'm wondering with this show is like, not that ratings don't matter at all, but how the people that are at the top of the brass feel about your shit. What is more important than ratings, because they can justify good or bad ratings either way. Like, it just depends. Like, they can take the same number for one show and be like, this is a great number, this is a success. They take the same rating number for another show and be like, this shit is terrible, this is why we canceled the show. And so you really just need to convince them that what you're doing is dope. And so that weirdness might be the thing that they were into in the first place. And when you start fighting the impulse or de-weirding it, all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, we can get anybody to do this.
This sound like everybody else.
We wanted the Brandon that wrote a play, wrote a movie script for his high school, where he had people being serial killers and shit. That's what we want.
Yeah, man. I was like, the script that got me in, like, I actually I didn't share it with anybody, which is what's wild about it. Like, I had such imposter syndrome when they said they really enjoyed my script, because I'm like, I didn't show this to nobody. Like, my wife didn't even know like what the script is that I submitted, and I'm just like very secretive about my writing. And so I think two things really changed my mindset, like especially in the second half of this program. First was the goof that sat by the door. And I know you've talked about this at length, Rod, on your, Atlanta recap show. That watching that episode, I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I'm gonna write whatever is in my heart, whatever is in my head, because I didn't know we
appreciate
could do that. Like this. I didn't even know we could write and produce a show, a television episode like that. And then the other was, this was a great year for me to start my new year. One of my mentors is Malcolm D. Lee, who just finished the Best Man, the final chapters. It's fantastic, folks. Please check it out on Peacock. And he said, there's stuff in your writing that I've never seen before.
Right.
And for me, like, for someone who's been in this industry since the 90s, to say that, even if it's like one or two scenes, that meant the world. And so that really is helped. Like you said, Rob, like, is somebody really kind of gets what you're trying to do, or appreciates
they know, because behind the scenes, everybody that's been in the game, they read every other fucking script,
right?
Fucking, like, they know all this shit. And so when they say scripts, I never seen something like this, they not even just talking about all the movies and TV shows, they're talking about all the shit they've ever seen. And to be like, yeah, your shit is different than that, that's like such a high compliment. And I'm glad you are walking with your head up based on that. The other thing that you didn't mention, but that also helps to shape your confidence, is when you start meeting white people and hearing their stories. And so many of the stories are just like, oh, my dad, my dad was in this industry, and such and such is his agent, or just like, I went to school with blank. And you're just like, oh, a lot of this shit is just like, y'all know these motherfuckers. So like, not that they're not funny or qualified, but it's just this idea of like, how many black people think they have imposter syndrome, and the imposter syndrome is really, you didn't grow up around these motherfuckers, you weren't in these fucking social circles. So your imposter syndrome is, I didn't think I could be in this social circle. It's not that you didn't have the talent, because if you grew up around those people, seeing those possibilities, seeing what their legacies they've inherited are, you be like, oh yeah, I can do that shit, but instead we be inheriting like, diabetes and fucking trying not to go to prison and shit. So we have different limits on what
we do. We be like, hey, we lucky we got them.
Yeah, like we be feeling lucky to be in the building.
Right.
Right. I mean, like, this industry is like very much who you know and who will endorse you, right? Because there's people that get writing gigs sight unseen because they know a high ranking executive, or they know like the star that like wants them to write on everything that they do, right? And that's never been more clear than the whole like Viola Davis, Daniel Deadwire, Andrea Rosenbaum, like Oscar thing that's happening. Because the thing that like and I've talked to Chris Lambert and Justin Brown, my co-host for Media Popcorn, a lot about this the past few days. The thing that like frustrates me the most is that there's there's a lack there. A few years ago, the industry seemed to be building up self-awareness about optics and like the things that they're saying and how they're being perceived by anyone that's not white, right? Mm-hmm. But now that seems to regress because all these white journalists in the film industry are like, well, it's not this actress's fault that like her friends, really got the word out. And I'm like, but look at who her friends were that like pushed out this movie to Leslie. It was like, Edward Norton.
Yeah. Actually, explain this more because I don't know the full story.
Okay, so in regards to the Oscars, all award season, there were a few locks, right? It was like Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Mm-hmm. It was Cate Blanchett for Tar, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Daniel Day-Lewis for Till, and then like the fifth slot was always up in the air. It was like fluctuating between Ana de Armas and a few other actresses. So there was this actress named Andrea Riseborough who's been
Riseborough.
Yeah, y'all know like if you
listen to the I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Just keep going.
He speak our language. I be jacking him up too.
She was in this movie called To Leslie, which premiered at South by Southwest. I watched it like randomly. It was fine. Like it's a good performance, but the movie's small potatoes. It made like 27,000 at the box office, right? And it started, I believe, with she went on Mark Maron, and he started pushing like, I don't know why this hasn't gotten any awards notice. Like you're fantastic in it. And then Cate Blanchett mentioned her performance at the Critics' Choice Awards when she won for Tar. And then it started like this snowball effect where like her reps started reaching out to reps for like big movie stars. But the thing is, all these movie stars and executives are white people, right? And so it's like they're talking about there's a lack of reflection on the optics of all these white stars endorsing this unknown actress for a movie that no one fucking saw. And then because of that, it bumped out Viola or Daniela, depending on where their rankings were for the Oscar nomination. So it's like a big thing. I guess like there's an investigation because of the way that her people might have been like campaigning and like pushing Academy voters to nominate her. But it's just not a good look. It's not a good feeling as a Black creative, especially for a movie like The Woman King that had such powerful Black women in front and behind the camera. And then for Daniel Day-Lewis, who at one point was thought to be the front runner for like not only being nominated but winning, because that is a great performance. Until the movie's got some flaws, but that's just like kind of like that's a concrete example of like how this industry works for the people that have the right kind of Rolodex.
Also, like it also disproves a lot of the like. Well, the reason that this Black film didn't get nominations is because it just didn't have the budget to promote itself during award season. Because here's a little film that could, right? She just knew the right people. And then also, it reminds me of when there was a college admission scandal and all those white actors were getting caught up in it. And I said, what's funny is it's racism that saved Will and Jada. Because if they were white, those white people would have put them onto the network, but because they were Black, they never even thought of them. And so now we don't have the scandal of like Jaden Smith was said to be a #1 rower when he filled in a fake application. Like we don't even have to worry about that because they didn't think of him. And so when I'm looking at this list of people who promoted this this film, Susan Sarandon, Helen Hunt, Zoe Deschanel, Mira Sorvino, Constance Zimmer, Rosie O'Donnell, Alan Cumming, Edward Norton, and those are the people that endorse it on social media. And then when it comes to hosting events, Charlize Theron, Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Minnie Driver, Gwyneth Paltrow, Amy Adams, Frances Fisher, and Kate Winslet. What do all those people have in common? It's just, I don't think they purposely meant to do it, but it's just that thing where it's like the nepotism and the outreach of like, we have to help this white lady is what's up, but it's not illegal. It's actually not like, if anything, it's kind of just a slap in the face for the fact that people do spend this money and it's supposed to be the money that gets you the nomination. And now for this special white lady, that's not the rule anymore.
Yeah, and I think I said this in an upcoming episode of Media Popcorn for The Woman King. Robert Daniels, who's a Black critic, he wrote a great article in the LA Times about how the system just does not work for Black women specifically in the entertainment industry. Because if you look at something like The Woman King, it literally checks off everything that is considered Oscar bait. Everything that the Academy loves, Gina Prince Bythewood did in that movie.
Right.
And it got 0 nominations. You know what I mean? Like there's something wrong with the system. Like, because what does it say to Black creatives when you do everything that the Academy says that they want out of a film, and then this one woman out of nowhere who literally spent more to host the movie on the Academy website than the movie made at the box office.
Yeah, even I remember. I know he probably hates that I bring this up, but I'm gonna bring it up for the rest of my life. I can't help it. But I remember 2014 or 2015 when the Oscars were out and Ava DuVernay didn't get a nom for Selma, even though they had expanded the Best Director and Best Movie categories to more people or whatever. And like Selma still didn't get the nom. They were just like, we just gonna nominate 8, fuck 10 or whatever the new number was. They were just like, we'd rather not nominate this shit than to contaminate our white movies, you know. And I think a lot of times the default setting is like, if they nominate something Black, it's some sort of charity.
Right.
The people never treat it as Black people can earn their spot. It's always like they just needed a Black movie, which is like the most racist. It's like the most liberal form of racism, where it's like, no, I'm on your side. I'm saying they're too racist to nominate you in earnest. It's like, so basically, my movie can't be great. And then the other part. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Karen.
And it's fucking insulting because me on the outside looking in, it's very frustrating sometimes because what they'll do is like they have this other women like thing where they were like, this year we're gonna pick everybody, and then the next year they'll be like, okay, we've made our quota, fuck that, and they just default all the way back to white where like nobody gets nominated for shit. It was like, come on, why we gotta have one swing or the other swing? Why can't there be some nuance here with this?
Yeah, so the film was nominated for Best Picture,
and best original song, because that's what Common and John Legend won for,
but not Best Director. And it was like
actor.
Exactly. And it's like, so how is that possible? And it's such a rare thing for that to happen. And same thing with like Woman King, same thing with like a lot of this stuff is very much like cherry picked to just like move right around giving the Black people all the credit. It's like, oh, we love your wardrobe from Black Panther. It's like, okay, but I mean, it made the most money of any movie this year. Yeah, but beautiful gowns, and thanks for coming. And so but it always makes me feel like I remember when J.L. Calvin just kind of dismissed the movie out of hand, and then on his podcast where he's doing his award season shit, and it was like, bro, what are you doing? Like this, that's a great, she has a great fucking case. And later he came around and was like, after the fucking awards was gone, I guess he was like, oh, now that I think about it, yeah, it was fucked up. And I was like, even though I know he doesn't necessarily think the same way, the Academy is like that, where it's very much like a Black person, they don't belong here. You know what I mean? What are you doing here? It's like, well, both ways. It's like we can't get our thing. And then the last part is, of course, when the system does break down and someone breaks through, another white person. Like it was it broke through because this 41-year-old British actress needed a break, guys, and Gwyneth Paltrow really liked the movie. So
because the only that reverse would never happen for Will Smith, for instance, right? Like Emancipation, not a great movie. Like the cinematography was beautiful, but like it just wasn't a great movie. But let's say he did a fantastic performance, even better than King Richard. Right. And then all the Black celebrities were like, yo, he fucked up last year, but this is the best performance we've ever seen. Right. He still wouldn't get nominated.
Nope. It wouldn't matter who was tweeting about that shit, if they was hosting parties.
Even if Chris Rock came out, I was like, yo, I know this nigga slapped me in public. But he
was acting his ass off.
Yeah.
They still would have voted for him. They still would have nominated.
Right. Oh man. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you're making headway out there. Is it a thing where you feel like you could move out there if the right thing happens and be out there for a while, or is it you want to come back to New York?
I mean, I want to come back to New York, but I definitely am more open to being out here on a permanent basis, or at least like a biannual basis, than I was when I first got here. I think having Tatiana here, who's my wife, folks, for those who don't know, that's helped out a lot.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and we have the flexibility right now, right? Like we don't have children right now, so we're able to like
Right.
kind of travel back and forth without any real issues. And even if we did have kids, like I don't think that would be too big of a challenge, except for
Yeah.
thinking about like the education stability and stuff like that.
Well, it's not like you gotta. If you have kids, it's not like you gotta be good parents. You know, like you could be
Yeah, there's a
part
lot of
time
people say
parents.
fuck them kids.
Yeah,
So many people say fuck them kids.
we've
It's
seen
crazy.
people's kids.
Yeah,
No
you
one's
either gonna be
raising
a
them.
good parent.
Okay, like
Yeah.
if you're out there listening to this and you stressed out, like, oh, am I gonna be a good parent? Should I even have kids? It's so hard. Let me tell you, man. No one's raising these kids.
No,
Okay,
yeah.
we see them all the time. We're like, that kid ain't got no home training. That could be one of your kids. Don't Black mediocrity is fine, everybody.
Don't shortchange yourself.
But yeah, that's interesting. Now, what's so different about LA compared to New York as far as to you?
I would say getting around and just being able to like seize the day, quote unquote. Like because I'm a free full time writer, right? So my
Right.
schedule is kind of what I want it to be. But in New York, I could go into the city, walk around, find a cafe, start writing, right? Like if I go for a walk here, it's kind of the same spots. And depending on how far I can walk, like it's pretty limited of what's around me.
Right.
So I need to either take the metro, which is hell on earth. Like I'm surprised RoboCop ain't down there patrolling that shit. It's so
You know
crazy.
what? A lot of people that live out there say that people on the East Coast take for granted like how good that stuff runs. They say over there it's actually separate, and they say it's like its own entity. And a lot of people out there say it's terrible compared to the transit out here, like the DC and the New York. And people complain about them, but they were saying they run so much better.
I will never complain about the New York public transit. Well, I mean, I probably will, but like for at least the first few weeks, I won't, because man, we were on the red, and mind you, the red line goes to Universal Studios, so it's in Hollywood, so it's a very touristy line on the metro. It's dirty as fuck, and there's constantly crackheads that don't know other crackheads, but they see crackhead on the train, and then they start smoking crack and doing dances and shit. Like it's so crazy.
I have heard that Hollywood, like what people think Hollywood is, and the reality of Hollywood are 100% opposite of each other. Everyone I know who goes out there is like, no, Hollywood is the ghetto. You don't want to be up in Hollywood too long.
Hollywood Boulevard is like Times Square full of crackheads.
Yeah, that's what
and
I
they're
heard.
all in costumes. Like it's unhinged.
Come take a picture with me. I'm Superman.
It's like,
let me get $5.
Has anyone ever seen, what was that movie with John Travolta called? Like it was about him being a super fan, and like he dressed up like some soldier from like the Confederacy or some shit, like to like take pictures. It's like stuff like that. That's wild.
Oh, they said The Fan. Somebody said, is that the name?
I thought that was Robert De Niro that was in The Fan.
It's something else, but it's oh man. But that's like everyone's like John Travolta from that movie.
Oh my God. No, that's too much for your boy.
It's not a fun place. It's not.
And how's Medium Popcorn doing?
Medium Popcorn's doing well, man. We got like a lot of cool guests in the can. And then we have a few people that we got coming up on the next few months, but like we're really churning out a lot of content. Like the Patreon's really booming. We got like a lot of cool stuff there, and we started adding a new mini episode where we talk about like recent movie news and like trailers that we watched and like hypothesize what's going to happen, stuff like that. Because before we were re-releasing old episodes, but then I realized that we were releasing episodes from years ago where Justin and I aren't like the most mature people, but we definitely said some dicier stuff back in the day. And I guess new fans are listening and they're like, what the hell, guys? And it's like, well, we've grown from that. Like we've grown from
No. This is recorded in 2018. They're like, it don't matter.
Exactly. So
I'm listening in 2023 with my 2023 ears.
Yeah, so we'll keep that content on the Patreon where people know what they're getting. You know what I mean? And so like it's no real struggle to like add extra 30 minutes to our recording dates every like few weeks to record some movie news and stuff like that. So it's been going well. It's just it sucks because we're not in person. So we're kind of doing what you guys are doing right now, which is the remote recording. And we got into a good flow, but it does take some time, right? Like when I'm back in New York in February, we're gonna be in person again. That's like another kind of back and forth that is different from our Zoom. So it's like we constantly have to adjust to make sure we get back into the comedic flow of everything.
Who all do y'all have that y'all have interviewed lately that you were like, like, I don't know, gushing over or even if you were just like, man, fuck this person. Like who's been your best interviews lately?
Oh, I mean, Janelle Monet was like fantastic. You know,
Oh
I
my
mean,
God,
like that's great. We had Roy Wood Jr. recently on to talk about Bad Boys, which was great. It was funny that he opened the episode with like, "You niggas better never review anything I do. Like, don't ever review any movie I'm in. I don't want to hear it."
Right.
But we have some fun ones in the can too. We got Ashley Ray, who hosts TV Say I podcast. We got this dude Lon Ray, who's one of the actors on South Side, which is one of my favorite shows.
Oh, I love South Side, bro.
You know what's wild is the Ralph's grocery store over here. There's all these TV stars over here, and I ran into Diallo, who's one of the showrunners and main actors from South Side. Literally, like after we watched the episode of South Side, when we were like gushing about it.
Those motherfuckers are so goddamn funny. Like that is a TV show that is just it's so amazing, and it's all just like Black people seeing other talented Black people and being like, we just gonna put this on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And it just works.
It's the closest, and Mike Lawrence confirmed that this is what they aim for. It said, I said it's the closest that we'll ever get to a Black Simpsons.
Yeah, it's like live action Simpsons.
It's so
live
weird.
action.
Yes, it really is. And the way
episode is a reset almost
from each, and not just that, but like in the last season, the episode with the cotillion and Kwanzaa, it's that's one episode, and it basically resets in the middle of the episode and gives you a whole different story.
My homie Will Miles, who's a comedian that I know from the New York comedy scene, when he's dancing with those glasses on, he's all hype for like nothing. It's like a poem. It's like what?
Man, I love that show, bro. Man.
Yeah, I told I told him like how much I appreciate the show, but I really wanted to tell him like one of the funniest things I've ever seen is there's an episode, I think it's in the first season when he's running for alderman, right?
Yes.
And he's debating Langston Kerman, friend of the movie Popcorn, and he gets caught talking about like niggas as a cryptocurrency, and then he gets caught back into a corner, and he has these little cards, and he just straightens the cards like that's gonna help. Like they're like waiting for him to respond. He just starts straightening the cards. I'm like, what? That's not gonna do anything.
Man, it's a perfect show, dude. All right. So once again, tell everybody about where drunk Black History, and when is it, where is it, and like who are the guests gonna be this year?
Absolutely. So Drunk Black History is a show that I host with the homie Gordon Baker Bone, where we try to highlight forgotten Black heroes and events that just haven't gotten their due, and likely aren't taught in any of the history classes that we attended in school. So it's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of dope past guests like Dr. Andre M. Perry. We talked about Redline. We've had Dulce Sloan, who talked about the history of Black History Month and things like that. This upcoming show on Thursday, February 23rd at the Bell House in Brooklyn. We currently have Electra Telesport, who's a great comedian in New York. We have music provided by Shaq Stanley, who was on Wild and Out. We also have JD Williams, who you all may know as Bodie from The Wire, which is incredible. And then we just put Kevin Iso, who was on Flatbush Misdemeanor. So right now it's shaping up to be a really good lineup, and we still got a few surprises, I'm sure, for the show. So drumblikehistory.com for tickets, both in person and live stream, because we are live streaming it from the Bell House. And hopefully you can come through again, Rod, because that was great.
Man. I'd love to.
One show, I was like, "Is that Rod?"
I was I was in the house for the last day, and because I was up here, and I'm gonna be up here for this one, so hopefully I can make it. And man, it was so much fun, and it's indescribable in person compared to like online. I've participated in it online. I've watched it online. But being there in person is just it's so much. It's so much.
It's very rowdy. It's very but it's got great energy. It's positive energy.
It's rowdy in a good way. It's not rowdy in like I think these niggas are about to fight. I just want to it's a good positive rowdy. Like it's a good group of people. Although the dude behind me did talk about how he had just got out of prison and stuff.
Well, so that's one thing that I will say is like I think Gordon and I have done the show enough and kind of Because there's times when people get on stage with us and they're like, this is out of control, right? Like, we're like, yeah, but like, just focus on us and people will pay attention, right?
Right.
But there's the gentleman you're talking about who we were doing the Divine Nine. Ayana Duki was on stage and he did like an NYU. And then we were like, what? And then we thought he went to NYU and he was just trying to shout them out. Come to find out, he was part of a prison program that was run by NYU.
Right.
He was in prison, but he got education from NYU, which is cool.
Oh, he told me,
but it didn't fit what we were talking about. And then he started getting angry, and that's when I was like, "We can't entertain this guy no more. Let's just talk about what we're trying to be here on stage."
The thing you couldn't hear from the stage is that his girlfriend that was with him was trying to calm him down. And so that was interesting to be sitting very close.
You was in close proximity. Were you right in front of him or something?
She was like, "Nigga, they don't care about that." Like, who are you?
Shut out the girlfriends.
I just got out of prison. She like, shut up,
calm down.
Just get the drinks or whatever. I was just like, all right, well, as long as I don't get shanked in the back.
That's what happens when you have specialty drinks that have dark liquor in them. You're gonna
absolutely. That's what they say: dark liquor, dark thoughts.
The darkness.
All right, let's get into some let's get into some like current events and some new pop culture type thing. Let me play one of my transition beats so we can get into that. All right, let's talk about the news, everybody. Stuff has been happening. We took that time off. We weren't talking about it. ABC has officially dropped TJ Holmes and Amy Robach from the morning show after extremely contentious mediation, where TJ was talking about there was rumors that he was going to say it's racial discrimination for them to get rid of him somehow, even though they're getting rid of both of them. Rumors and speculation and allegations about him fucking everybody around the office was coming out. And then after the firing, they were spotted with her like literally jumping into his arms in the street. So I honestly feel like they had to get rid of them because they don't really seem to have a like keep it down button.
Oh no, they don't.
And if the company would have said it's fine, come on back, I just feel like it was going to escalate and get messier and messier. And keep in mind, there's still two exes out there, like an ex-husband, ex-wife,
correct,
who I'm sure are not done talking about this in public. So I don't think this is a story that's like goes away. And I think as messy and cool as our audience is, as they say they would be with this shit, I don't think that's the audience for ABC's morning show. They don't want the people tuning in to watch live Scandal. They want the people tuning in to watch morning news. And if
most of us ain't watching it, so that's a complete like we're not the targeted audience. The targeted audience is like, I want the illusions.
But you know what's wild is that if you watch like the old clips that like were circulating after this news broke out, you could tell, like they either really like each other or they're fucking. Like this is like the different kind of chemistry. You know what I mean?
It's weird because like I'm a kind of person that tries to do I try not to associate like a man and a woman are talking, they must be fucking. I try to keep from being that kind of person. So sometimes it actually makes me not see the obvious. You know what I mean? Where like I can only see it in hindsight because like when it was happening, I was just like, oh, okay, I guess that's the morning show energy
because it's an own muscle, right?
That a lot of them the show popular, and it's why they're good at their job. Is because even if you sat me next to TJ Holmes, my assumption is 5 minutes later, everybody be like, are they fucking? Because he's gonna make it. he's gonna try to make it feel intimate when it's really not. It's just it's all fake.
Yeah,
I was wrong, bro. I had no idea. Now I look at them clips. I was like, oh, that's a man that he just finished hitting that. Like you can tell from the look at her. Like they husband and wife at home somewhere mad watching this shit. But yeah, so they're out of there. And I can't blame ABC, man. I really think with how messy they are now, it was going to get worse. It just
Yes.
And it would have become the thing where it's like, oh, ABC co-signed this. So the next time they do something newsworthy that's fucked up, ABC will have no room to stand because they can always go back and be like, y'all were cool with this. When you found out that all this shit, even when you found out about me fucking the intern and the producer and that Robin Roberts came to me and told me to stop, y'all said, come on back.
I do think that ABC possibly, and they would never reveal this to the public, I think there's possibly other affairs that TJ had with other staffers. It doesn't just be, they just said it was just one other staffer that he was involved. No, that's a pattern, bro. Like, so I can see him being like, well, this is going to be like what I sue y'all about for discrimination. They're going to be, well, TJ, we also in our investigation discovered that you hooked up with X, Y, and Z. And then he's like, oh, well, now I got to back off because
I honestly feel like they could win by just saying we had no idea his name was Lutellis. And he hid that from us. And if we would have known his name was Lutelli, we would have never hired this man because not out of racial discrimination, but because people named Lutelli is definitely fuck all the women in the office. Like you ain't met one yet that's not, trying to burn down everything, for some draws. So yeah, these are the pictures. This is after they found out they were fired.
This is right. They kept being in public together and stuff. And, it's one of those things where, people act like, well, they're considered adults. They can fuck at the job. No, my job as a company, I am a company. I don't want to get mixed up in your personal affairs. That is not my job. I am a company. I have to deal with people when they fall out of love and they don't get along and they take revenge. The company has to deal with all the other messiness and bullshit that comes around people being people. So the company has these rules and regulations for a fucking reason.
They're going to have a show on Bravo soon. It's okay. They're going to be all right.
Like the thing, they're gonna start a podcast or something. But the thing for me is just it's not even like just we're a company so people can't have relationships. It's not just about this relationship. Like he been fucking everyone. He was fucking her friend in the office is who he was fucking before he started fucking her, and now her and that woman ain't friends no more. Like that kind of shit affects the workplace, dog. It's scary. You know what I mean? So like, y'all got to go handle that on your personal business. ABC can't be seen co-signing this shit because what's going to happen is one of these women going to be like, it was an toxic environment, an environment of intimidation and fear. My abuser or the man who had power over me, they promoted him. They brought him back. They didn't, and so that's how it happens. I just watched season 2 of the morning show. I know how it goes down up there. Okay. It's crazy. In other news, Britney Spears asked her fans to respect her privacy after they called the police to her home for a welfare check following the disappearance of her Instagram account.
Oh, Jesus.
People are fucking insane.
I think those of y'all that have been listening to the show for a while, y'all know what I got to say. Y'all already know what I'm going to play.
Right.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
Yeah, Free Britney was always some bullshit, and that was some weird parasocial relationship shit that white people got into. People wanted to free Britney, then free Britney Griner. And she's a rich white woman that's very famous, and y'all was acting like, oh my god, we got to get her out of there. But my whole thing was there's stuff in that situation that we as fans do not have to feel responsible for.
Right?
Yes.
So if she really does have mental health issues that would affect her, and like she needs people to help her live, and we're just like, fuck it, I don't like her daddy or whatever it is. The judge, the people who are involved in this are seeing more than we're seeing. We're only seeing what a documentary showed us on Hulu. We're only seeing people tell us that Justin Timberlake's a piece of shit. We're not seeing the whole like picture because it takes psychiatric diagnosis. It takes letters from your fucking therapist and your doctor or whatever fucking drugs you're on. It takes a lot of shit to determine if someone can or cannot handle this kind of thing. And the parasocial relationship with the fans was always weird to me because even when she would do shit like post 27 swirling with no top on Instagram videos, people would normalize it like, well, everyone does that. It's like, no, they don't.
No.
And you only saying that because you don't want to say, whoops, I actually don't know what you do with someone who may have some mental health issues that I don't want to fit. I don't feel like dealing with. When it was Kanye, everybody was ready to be like,
no compassion.
Yeah, everybody was ready to throw him away because his mental illness eventually got to a point where he was doing shit we didn't like.
Right.
And here, all she did was delete her Instagram. This wasn't even her saying like some wild flagrant shit, even though she's had a couple, like she had some people like accuse her of abusing them and stuff like that. Family issues, but y'all called the cops. You're crazy. That's not that. Who knows why someone deletes their Instagram? You don't call the fucking cops to someone's house who's a celebrity you don't know because they ain't posted in a few days.
And the fact that they were able to do that is just terrifying. You know what I mean?
Like,
it's just crazy that authorities would do that. Like versus like her husband or like Kevin Federline or somebody like that calling it in. Versus some random fans who are like, Britney deleted Instagram, go check on her. Like, how is that even a valid reason to do a security check for a police officer?
And the thing is, like, your mind, first of all, social media is pretty much bad for most of us, right? We know it can be bad. So if you start really creating a relationship with the people on social media who really have no true relationship with you, they just know your image, your fame, whatever they get out of it. And they realize that there's a feedback loop between the both of you, that can be the scariest shit in the world because someone with no attachment to you isn't your friend. They can be like, if Brandon was texting me and he started texting me super crazy shit, I would be like, hey, Brandon, you good, bro? You just
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that last week. I told you.
Yeah, like I might reach out to Tati like, hey, Brandon texted me some super crazy shit. Is he all right? But if you like if Brandon is just Brandon Collins comedian to me and I'm just going on Instagram scrolling and he's just another motherfucker I stop on one, then I might really be like, oh, he texted me that he's gonna jump off a bridge, and I'm like, do it, nigga. I don't, because I don't really
have
know
no
him
attachment.
And if he feels like this parasocial relationship has made like all these people care about him, who knows what he's willing to do. So like, and she was clearly reading all these comments and stuff because she was always on social media, and
that's
so
terrifying.
Yeah, someone said that she stopped because people were talking about her body. She said people were making prank phone calls. She said she feels like I felt like I was being gaslit and bullied once the incident made it to the news, being portrayed once again in a poor and unfair light by the media. During this time of my life, I truly hope the public and my fans who I care so much about can respect my privacy moving forward. All love, B. And now, I, to be honest, someone's going to not do that. They're going to go overstep on purpose now because they've affected her life. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, not all of them, but this is what a lot of them wanted.
Yeah, they wanted a response, just like kind of related, but not kind of related. Just like with Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion basically has stepped away from social media altogether after all the shit that went on. And periodically, I see people go, "I miss Megan," and I understand that, because there are some people go, "Yeah, I wasn't doing the bullshit y'all was doing. I just missed her presence online." That's what a lot of people are. But then you have other people who their whole thing of quote unquote I miss her is to fucking harass her and call her out her name and all that shit. And for a lot of them, they get to the point where they're like, here's my account. I'm not fucking running it. Like, I don't need to be involved or associated with it because y'all are fucking insane. And so in order for me to keep my sanity, I have to put up a wall or a barrier for myself.
That's the level of like I ever get like to a point where people know who I am, like on a national level. I want people like I want to have a team that owns social media. I don't want to ever have to look at it, but I do want them to be honest. Like, hey, if I did this thing, how are people really responding? They'll just yes and me, because it is very detrimental to your mental health. And I think the people that do remove themselves, that's probably for the best because, like you said with Megan Thee Stallion, there's so many fans that were living vicariously through her. And that's not fair to put on somebody because we already have family and other people in our lives that do that to us, So to have people that you have no like experience with or background with who are doing the same thing, that's incredibly toxic and dangerous.
Yeah, people argue what they need to be true. That's what that's what the point I've been trying to make about this whole Britney shit for years, or for the last couple of years, I guess. But when people were saying after she got out of the conservatorship and she started posting those kind of weird videos over and over and over again, and people were like, she got her Instagram account back, there's nothing weird about this. And I was like, you can just grow her Instagram and see that is not a healthy mind. Like, that's not the same.
She posted dancing videos of her butt naked. Yeah. Like, it's 1999. I'm like, girl, like, what is happening?
And keep in mind, on the internet where people say and do the rudest, meanest shit. So it's not like she's posting that and then everyone's gonna be cool about it. Someone, and I guarantee if I'm scrolling every one of those videos, there's at least one comment saying something very fucked up about her body or mental state. And then these people argue back and forth in the comments and all of that stuff. But people argue what they need to be true. Same thing with Megan Thee Stallion. People were arguing what they needed to be true, like she can take this, or she's fine, or she's winning. And meanwhile, she could be at home crying. She could, like, we don't see these people all the time. So anyway, all I'm saying is this shit went to where I thought it would go. Critics are calling for Beyonce to be canceled after her controversial live performance. She performed in Saudi Arabia,
in Dubai.
Yeah, for a hotel opening, and some people were mad about it. They was like, "Hey, you just put out an album that is very LGBTQ friendly and inclusive. You can't even hold hands in Saudi Arabia." So people got fucking mad at her about it. The thing for me is you can't cancel Beyonce. So
also, how much money did she make off that? She made like
20 million or something. It was like 20 million for one performance.
So here's the thing, like, I absolutely get like the fans that are hurt or like offended by her taking this gig, but that money is as much as she would make on a national tour in one night. You know what I mean? Like, you got to kind of think about, like, for her as a family woman that, like, probably would prefer not to hit the road every week.
Yeah.
I
mean, she also hasn't toured in a long time, but I mean, I think it's not even a money thing. She's a billionaire or whatever. I think it's just here's the real scoop, guys. This is what I think happened. Okay. So they have these stan accounts and shit, right? Like Nicki Minaj stan, Beyonce stan, and so these hives, they don't like each other for some reason. One of them does something, they start fighting on the internet about whatever. So a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, Nicki Minaj performed in like Dubai, and all the like other stands of other like pop artists were like, she's married to a rapist pedophile, and she performing It Couldn't Be Me, all that shit. And I think they thought they were safe. And then Beyonce performed, and then it was people like, oh, now it's our turn to shit on her. Like, one of the women that brought this up, she was like, Beyonce made this album and now she's performing here, and now, da. And so people went and found like an old tweet from her at a Lady Gaga concert. And like, I can't believe it, I'm here for Lady Gaga in person. And then they found like an article where Lady Gaga performed in Dubai. Because they all look at you hypocrite bitch. They also went and found out she lived in Canada, and someone literally quote tweeted her with like, oh, so we just gonna act like Canada didn't kill indigenous people, which I'm like, what is her being in Canada versus
you live in America? Like, what are you talking about?
It's so stupid.
People are batshit crazy, and I think that
yes, they are.
I think that's the thing you realize when you're older and you actually see the world and you get to meet people outside of whatever community you grew up in. You realize, oh, everyone's fucking nuts and just trying to survive. But then you notice the people that they latch onto something in such a toxic, unhealthy way, and you're like, ooh, like, I don't need you in my life.
So this is where this is what I love. My favorite thing is watching people be hypocrites. It's the best. And if everybody would just accept that about themselves, life would just be so much funner, but they won't, which makes it funny to me. But it was funny watching people that shit on Nicki Minaj for going to Dubai defend Beyonce. It was funny. People that say there's no such thing as a good billionaire be like, but this is a good one. It was funny listening to people like, do the thing where it's like, you live in Canada. Like it was just all the reasons, like because they couldn't just say what they wanted to say, which is I just love Beyonce, and it really, unless she does something so completely horrible, I'm not going to ever critique her in the way that I critique other people, because I'm only critiquing those people because I don't like them. It's the Chris Pratt thing where people shit on Chris Pratt online, but at the end of the day, Chris Pratt's not that different than any other Hollywood person.
And they're still going to see his movies. Like,
right. And low key, if he is conservative, he don't talk about it, which is the best kind of conservative. Like these people that like push these conservatives into like having meltdowns and burning their careers down. Hey man, smartest thing those conservatives can do is keep that shit to yourself. Because look at Gina Carano. Ain't no upside for you coming out the conservative closet.
I was going to say, like, it's funny you mentioned that because Jon Favreau, who like I love what he's doing with Star Wars, he's a conservative. Vince Vaughn, I remember I only knew he was a conservative because someone like who was a celebrity that got outed and say it was wild. It was like, well, Vince Vaughn is also my like he tried to pull Vince Vaughn under the bus with him. Like it was like, yo, like he over here making me laugh still and shit. Like,
yeah, he was like the clown. He was like the clown in It, trying to pull Vince Vaughn into the sewer. Like, come on here with me. Oh man, yeah.
You know who told me that Jon Favreau was conservative? My therapist.
Damn.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing this to me, Alan? Why are you doing this?
and also I've come to the conclusion that people won't admit that everybody has lines, and everybody's lines are very different. And so people can do great things, make great art, can make you laugh and entertain you, and also be a goddamn piece of shit all at the same time. Well, and people act like if I support this, I support everything about you. And that's not always true.
Yeah, I think also like there's the whole like piece of shit thing where it's like it don't even be about being a piece of shit. People just human.
Right.
Like some of this ain't even people, like her performing in Dubai don't make her a piece of shit. You know what that's to me, that's crazy to say that, but I think the way they operate online is so black and white. They turn everything into like, you're not a human, you're either good or bad, and there's no in between. And so somebody does something they don't like or disagree with, especially after they talk them up, because Lord Jesus, the way they be talking these motherfuckers up, like motherfuckers don't even be saying shit. They be saying like the bare minimum. Like I remember when like people were talking about Cardi B being like a socialist, and she liked Bernie Sanders, and she like made a couple of like just general points politically. And then it's like she would do something that was like super capitalistic or something, and they'd be like, like when she sued that blogger for lying on her and shit, they're like, she is suing another black woman using the tools of the capitalist patriarchal mindset.
Woman, and I was like, her.
Right, but I was like, that she never said any of the things y'all said in the first place that would make you think she wouldn't do that. Like she never was out here like, and I would never sue a black woman because we both black. You should be able to violate the law on me because
because I'm both the same skin.
Yeah, exactly. Like y'all made that lie up, and so but then you penalize her for not living up to your lie. It's people getting mad at Lizzo when she went on like a juice cleanse or some shit, and they're like, she's not a fat acceptance advocate. I'm like, what? Fat people can't do juice cleanse? They can't. You know what I mean? Just weird shit like that you're mad at this person, but you shouldn't even really be mad because they never did anything in the first place to not, to sell this.
Y'all made this shit up.
It's so tough, man, because when you have fans, like you're kind of like, okay, I appreciate you supporting everything I'm doing, right? But you just know at some point you're gonna piss them off because of something, right? Like because they have they build up this image of you. And then if you say one little thing that's out of context, or maybe they don't have enough information to understand where you're coming from, or maybe they do and they're just like, well, that's not what I thought you stood for or believed in. It's like, it's such a tight rope that you have to walk with how people perceive you and what they want out of you ultimately, right? Like think about Jordan Peele, right? Like Jordan Peele, everyone big fan of Get Out. Everyone's like, this guy can do no wrong because of us. And people are like, okay, that was kind of weird, but I think we still like this guy. He brought out Note, which is so abstract in parts.
Yeah.
and it has so many layers, and people are like, nigga, that's too weird. It's almost like he was doing the Outcast album evolutions, where they just started getting wilder. Like,
well, you know what it
Got a
is?
pimp in a spaceship.
Well, one of the things you kind of almost glossed over, but at the beginning, there were a lot of people that just didn't think he was the right type of black. Like
always happens.
I was a fan of him from Key and Peele.
Yes.
And you know, I loved Key and Peele, and I still remember like other black comics, especially the biracial ones. Shout out to J.L. Covan, Josh Homer. They hated these niggas. They just were like, they doing something wrong, and the joke is about people being black or whatever. And I was like, I'm watching this shit every day. I don't see it that way. Like I think if you watch it from the perspective of these are biracial dudes who identify as black, then why the fuck would it bother you? Because we never feel bad about black people making fun of black people doing black shit. That's half of black comedy, you know. That's half of Martin's jokes. It's just like niggas be doing this, right? And so to me, it never bothered me, but it bothered a lot of people. And when I remember being a fan, when I would tell people, "Oh yeah, I fuck with Key and Peele," they stole Dave Chappelle's show, just wild, crazy shit that was not true. And I was like, okay. This nigga makes Get Out. Fam, the retroactive black acceptance that came to this man, where it was like, we always loved him. We always loved Key, Michael Key. We loved him. We all the way back to, honestly, Mad TV. Like, we are big fans. I'm like, you fake motherfuckers. And I wonder if it's going to come back around to, because they even used to talk bad, like he got a white wife and shit. I wonder if it's gonna come around to like, if he makes one more abstract film, these niggas, I never liked him anyway. He was always chucking and jiving.
As a creative, that's something that really, like, you know, you hear a lot about, like, this industry will, like, can be really tough and break you. Like, like, if I'm Jordan Peele, right, and I'm thinking that, like, oh my god, if this next one's too fucking weird again, am I gonna lose everybody? You know, am I going to go back to that experience I had when I was doing, you know, Key and Peele and dating, you know, started dating Chelsea Peretti and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what's so fucked up about. Because remember when Obama was running, people were like, he ain't black enough. Jesse Jackson was like, oh, like I fucking hate this nigga. Like,
he was crying when he got elected.
That was crazy.
That's the retroactive black acceptance. That's what I'm talking about. It's like he hit that milestone where he was undeniable, and then Jesse was up in there crying like he hadn't just been, you know, talking about he need his nuts chopped off
on the hot mic.
He had his finger in his mouth too. I remember that. He was like, I was like, Jesse, you fucking
motherfucker. Let's move into a different
what were we talking about?
We were just
Beyonce.
We started with Beyonce going to Dubai.
Well, I'm still gonna get my Beyonce tickets. I'm getting one for me, one for Roderick, and one for Roderick's mama. All three of us going. I don't know if Roger gonna go or not, but he gonna get ticket now. If you want me to just be two, it could be two. But I figure out you gonna see Beyonce do her thing too. So I got a separate fund, so I don't give a damn about her performing in Dubai.
Yeah, and I think honestly, dog, I just wish we could harness this energy. Is all I'm saying. I just wish everybody that don't give a fuck that she did this or made excuses that she did this. I want you to keep that same energy next time it's somebody you don't like. That's all. If I had a perfect world, that's all. Because honestly, we don't have that many. We have too many other real problems to be worried about this bullshit. Is all I'm saying. Right. So like next time you find out some celebrity goes to a church you don't like, or I don't know, some you know, they fucking I don't know, they like some shit, or they perform somewhere, they did a song with fucking Kodak Black or something. I would love for y'all to keep the same energy of like, yeah, I didn't like it, but also like that's what they did. I don't give a fuck. I'm moving on. That's how I be feeling most of the time with this shit.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to my world, y'all. Okay, everyone's Beyonce to me. I'm just like, unless you do some wild, egregious shit, I don't care. You just gotta like you. J.K. Rowling wakes up every day to try to get canceled. Why can't we just all hate her together? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some motherfuckers that's out here really trying to be like, I'm a problem.
We can ignore the fuck out of them.
Exactly, just ignore them. That's like, I'm like, I'll still fuck with Harry Potter. I just ignore everything that she says. I don't fuck with her. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, so let's move into some actual problems, okay? Because there are real problems out there.
And we can solve them.
Let's do some fucking with black people, everybody.
Oh shit.
Hey, we're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them black people. We're just fucking with them blacks. We're just fucking with black people. Hey, hey,
you are. All right. Well, fucking with black people. The game we go around the globe, find different articles, fuck with us, and with assign point scores of 0 to 100, intervals of 25. Today's contestants, everybody, and y'all know the big one. Tyre Nichols is a brother that was murdered by like 5 black cops in Memphis, and it's been all over the news. There's 4 different videos out there of the I'm just gonna say murder. Like, I think it's like people were anticipating, like there were marches and stuff, but people were anticipating like riots and all this shit, and which they always do whenever black people have a reason to be angry. There's always like, these niggas gonna burn it down, but that didn't happen. And part of the reason that didn't happen is because they have a black police chief who just immediately saw the video and was like, oh, these niggas going to jail. And so there was no like need to do a quote unquote call for justice. It was more of a like, people were marching to show their outrage. People were marching to show their solidarity. People were marching to it was more of a like catharsis as opposed to like a, we won't get justice unless we show how angry we are. Like people shut down the highway in Memphis, but there wasn't like, burning down property and stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
Which there's always funny because everybody put out the statement beforehand, which I get. I don't get mad at these statements because I feel like anybody in a position of actual responsibility can't be like niggas on Twitter where they be like, burn it down.
Right. You can't be like, burn everything down because you're like, hey.
Like you're never gonna find any president, any politician who's I'm gonna be like, I don't give a fuck. Like they're all gonna be like, I'm very angry. This is fucked up. It's miscarriage of justice. We need to get these people, blah blah. Correct. But don't burn. Just not burn everything down, guys. All right, cool. I'll see y'all tomorrow. That's what they got to do.
Because I don't have to deal with the repercussions of the city being burnt down either.
Yeah. It's only gonna take one time. I mean, you see how they did Democrats last time. Even when they were the ones being like, we're not with y'all burning shit down, they were still like, and Black Lives Matter gonna come to your house and kill your white babies. And that's and you know who's okay with that? Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. Like they're gonna hang that on you anyway. But if there was actual fucking tape of them saying some like flagrant shit like burn it down or I don't care if it's burned down, they never win an election again because white people too scared.
Agreed. And it's one of these things where a lot of these burn it down niggas, and we've seen it online. I burn it down. So I'm like, oh, these niggas on my street don't burn this street down. Well, then do you really mean it or not?
Oh yeah, that was funny. So then basically so because she just got in front of this, I think that's why you haven't seen as much like
correct.
I'd even say you haven't seen as much marching as you would have if she hadn't got in front of this. Now the other thing is though, this happened in Charlottesville as well, where they had a black woman as police chief. What's the cost she will have to pay for this? Because she did the right thing. And the right thing is typically the anti-police thing, meaning like the police union, the other officers, they do not want to be held accountable. And they typically erode and harass the person that has held them accountable until they're drummed out. That happened in Charlottesville very quietly. Like, this woman was holding everyone accountable, and then all of a sudden, a few months later, we just see her dip out, and you're like, "What happened?" It's like because she did the right thing, they made her pay. So I do worry. We'll be keeping an eye on this.
What's going to happen? I think that's one of the reasons why there has been not immediate response, but like less public outrage like there would have been in the past, because I think everyone's just tired. And I think this is a conversation that's been brewing in the Black community for a while, but we've never really talked about, which is Black people in these authority roles and how they actually sometimes treat us worse. You know what
I don't
mean?
think
Like,
you'll see any Black person surprised the cops were Black.
Exactly.
Like you may see, like, if anything, a couple niggas went too far. I think LeBron said we are our own worst enemy, and I think Emmanuel Acho says something like, something about Black lives not mattering when we treat them this way or whatever. And in both cases, people jumped in their shit. I don't necessarily think they should have jumped in their shit, but the point being, like, even in an intra-community conversation, like there's that wasn't surprise they were expressing. That was like anger at at like, damn, we don't even matter to each other. And I don't, you can't really say that outside. But it's a sentiment I've had expressed to me, expressed myself, and seen in many full, like, Black spaces. My church, you go to a church, you hang out with your family, community organizations. That's where we talk about that, but you can't say Twitter is not us, No,
it be your own people sometimes, man. That's what makes it hurt worse, because like I talked about this on Jay Whitaker's podcast, who's a comedian in Boston. We did Drunk Black History on the road. We went to Boston, and everyone had a great time. It was a successful show. The theater is like, hey, there's a bar upstairs. We recommend you have your after party there. We'll tell them that you guys are coming, so you should be all set. We go up, and the manager is a Black man, and he tries to lie to people from our group and be like, we're closing. So you only have time maybe for one more drink. And we're like, okay, like we'll get a drink and then we'll go somewhere else. Bartenders, all white bartenders, by the way, are like, oh, you guys had a show downstairs, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're open till like midnight. Like, you guys have 3 more hours. Like, we're not closing. And I was like, why would he tell us, predominantly Black group, that we have time for one drink? It's the last call, essentially.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucked up.
I've had that happen to me with a white dude before. And my boy, he's Black. He pays for this like pool hall membership. And the 2 times we've been there, it's his idea. Like, hey, let's go shoot some pool or something, hang out for a couple hours. Within like 15, 20 minutes, it's, guys, I'm about to close up early. I'm sorry. We just gotta, and it's just like, oh, because we're Black. All right, got it. This doesn't apply to everyone. But yeah, I'm never surprised. I think everyone will tell you the Black cop is often the one who's the meanest and the one who goes extra hard because he's got something to prove. And I see these James Baldwin quotes going around, but it was like the one I saw lately was he had something to prove and less to prove it with. So, so like, of course they come down hard. But yeah, I think for those of us who have been like, policing has to change and all that stuff, we didn't say white policing has to change. Like,
no, the institution of policing.
Yeah, it's never been like, if they had more Black cops, like that solution was from like the 1940s. Like, we've tried that already. So I will say this though, as an aside, I'm still think it's fucked up and kind of lazy clout chasing when people just, especially people who are social like leaders or claim to be, if you just hop on and say some shit like, this is why we don't need police or abolish police or whatever, I'm gonna need you to at least have like some other suggestions, because that is such a like pie in the sky thing that it's essentially you kicking the ball, punting it, so that you don't have to be responsible for anything. And it's been several years that slogan's been out there, and we're not even closer to it. So, because the people that say it and then don't do shit. I said what I said. Get rid of it.
It gets weaponized against the Democrats,
right? And so I'm tired of that shit too. So even when you say we're tired, I'm tired of the whole thing. Like, even like, I'm tired of cops doing this. Tired of seeing the videos. I'm tired of the fucking weird ass like clout chasing on social media with it. And I'm tired of the people that just want to signal how much they're against it, but not. But even though it's their job, not put anything into solving it. It's just get rid of it. The end. I'm like, all of this is tired, and we're just gonna be doing this again in a few months if we get good enough camera angles. Also, like, they disbanded that group of cops who went by the Scorpion Squad.
Yeah, there was some kind of special force group, right, or something.
Yeah, and I listen to this podcast. It's called A Tradition of Violence. It's about LAPD gangs and the deputy gangs. It's really good. Cerise Castle did it. She also she was part of the crew that filmed us for that Vice piece about Black Game of Thrones fans. She's amazingly talented. She also did one about the critical race theory stuff about this town that was like on the forefront of that. Like she's a beast. And so anyway, I was listening to her to that, and it's just ironic because as soon as I heard they were called the Scorpion Squad, I was like, oh, you know exactly what them niggas was getting into, because those squads are like, you basically, like, some of them you have to like murder someone to get in the squad, or you know, like, we gonna beat these motherfuckers down together. It's essentially a fucking gang, and you got to do some dirt to stay in and stay down. And so they said they were gonna like disband it and all this shit, but I'm like, the fact that this existed, and let's keep it real, Scorpion ain't exactly a good animal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
Like, it's not like they name, like, if they would have named this shit like the Mustangs or the fucking, like, you know, like the monkeys or something, I don't know,
the Wapatees, shit like that.
Like,
yes,
like they named it the most unhelpful type of animal. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's ever needed
the thing that everybody's already scared of anyway.
A sentence you've never heard. Thank God that Scorpion was there.
Yeah, it's like imagine if like Denzel from Training Day, his squad was called like the Banshees or the Hyenas. Like, that's not a positive animal.
Yeah, there's not, like, scorpions don't even have squads. They don't even hang out together in real as animals. Yeah, they like, it's such a, like, the fact that it was like, and he came from the Scorpion Squad, no one was like, oh, the Scorpion Squad.
Well, it would be like more disturbing though if they were like a very like let's say they were called the Winnie the Poohs or some shit. That'd be creepy.
Honestly, dog, if I was a deputy gang that was gonna be, you know, killing people for no reason, I named ourselves like the Unicorns. You know, you name yourself something nice. That way people don't see it coming, you know? They're like, oh, the brownies are here. Oh, they beating everybody. Damn, I didn't know. I didn't realize.
I didn't see that coming.
The koala bear squad. Oh, the koala bear squad would never plant guns on people and frame them for murder. Get out of here, buddy. They all got koala bear tattoos. They nice.
See, what they should do is just name all these gangs after like popular music acts. Like, I would be less intimidated by like someone like who's like, hey, we Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. I'd be like, that's interesting. Like, I might listen to what you have to say, sir.
Right. Exactly. It's the Four Tops. Oh, okay. Let's see what they got going on.
The 5 heartbeats, nigga.
Yeah.
Like, what? But
it's more than 5 people in the game.
They be beating your ass. My office hours are from 9 to 5. So also, Jason Whitlock arose out of his coon hibernation to speak out on the topic. He had a hot take.
I felt guilty putting that video on the screen, not because I was on anyone's side. I felt obviously bad about it. It was horrible. But
I was on anyone's side. Who watched the video of the cops killing the black man and picked us? It was like, there's two sides to this, and I don't want to be on the wrong side. It's 50-50 for your boy, but
you don't want to put ugly things on TV and inflame passions. You want people to be reasonable and think things through and reach wise decisions. Why would news organizations? I mean, they really want to make people enraged. Clearly,
they don't want us focused on reality. Hey, if they want us to devote an hour of coverage to this and weekend coverage of this, and they want to take us to a good place, I would examine the racial element of this, because there is a racial element. And this is a story about young black men and their inability to treat each other in a humane way. Everybody involved in this on the street level was either 24 to 32 years old. Everybody. It was a group of young black men, 5-on-1. Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised.
Now, keep in mind, we have literally watched at this point dozens of groups of cops killing people. It's only now that it's the black cops that Jason Whitlock sees a pathological issue, and it's surprise. The issue is that they're black. It's not. It's the black pathology, not the everything else that all these things have in common, which is they're all cops. So when it's George Floyd, that's not black people, but only when it gets to black people is it the black people's culture that is causing the problem.
Jason Whitlock looked like he bought that shirt fresh from Express and then talked off the ear of one of the clerks, like, practicing these talking points for Tucker Carlson. Like, it's us doing this, right, brother?
It's like, when he was getting his hair installed and the firmware.
Because I was about to say that them edges, like, what is that? That's not a real headline.
He has fake hair. He has a Brillo pad.
A single black woman. And that's what they got going.
Now, this part is important, and this is really why I'm playing the clip.
Black woman. And what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got going on in the Memphis Police Department. They've elected some or put some black woman in charge of the police force. And we're getting the same kind of chaos and disunity and violence that we see in a lot of these cities that are run by single mothers. If we want to describe...
What?
Right. So that's where he took it.
The fuck? You don't know anything about this woman. You're just making bullshit up.
Why do black men do this? Like, honestly, why do black men go out of their way to blame black women?
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy.
You don't want to take any accountability.
It's definitely an internal, it's an internal anti-blackness that he harbors, that he then makes pathological for the rest of us.
It's so crazy.
I remember when he called Serena Williams fat. He's just, this is who he is. Now, I will say though, it led me down an interesting path. I think Jason Whitlock might be like the coon Thanos, right? Like, if we but I don't mean that makes him like the greatest coon. I think if we did a coon bracket, if we did like a coon bracket, like a March Madness, like we had like March Madness for coons, like March Coonness or whatever. I feel like obvious the number one seed is Clarence Thomas. It's not close either.
Not even close.
Yeah,
top
like
seed.
He's running away
bracket.
with it. He's running away with it. Like he's fucking like UCLA when they had like 12 titles in a row or whatever. He's that level. But like Jason Whitlock is like Duke. You know what I'm saying? Like he's perennially in the mix. And while he may not be like an all day, every day, like he's in the mix of pop culture and he's always getting viral. Like it seems like he goes viral maybe once or twice a year at best. When he does though, I mean, it's like Kobe scoring 82 points or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Where you just be like, damn, he is in the coon zone. This nigga cannot fucking miss. I was blown away by just the amount of cooning he did in such a short period. I didn't even play the full 2 minutes for y'all. And he already was like when Kobe scored 72 against Dallas and nobody remembers it because he didn't even play the fourth quarter, but because he scored 81 another time, we don't remember that game. But that's how compact the cooning was in that clip. This dude is a coon savant, man. I mean, obviously, I hate him and he's disgusting, but I have to give him the fucking like credit he deserves. He jumped past Candace Owens.
Yes, he did.
Cousin Terrence Williams, like
putting up them double doubles, them triple doubles.
Listen, like there are so many coons that saw that right there and just had to be like to give him his props begrudgingly because they hate to give other black people props, but they had to be like somewhere at home, like the one that's alive from Diamond and Silk was like, God damn, that's some good cooning. You know what I'm like shit. He had a good day. They gonna be mad about he blamed single black women, young black men.
He checked all the boxes, didn't he?
In 45 seconds, this man burned every type of black person that he could. Beautiful guy.
He obviously don't be eating good because he has to go like Cracker Barrel or something like that. Because if you go any place with this black people, they're gonna spit in your food.
Yeah, what? Yeah, that would be I would love a documentary that follows a day in his life. Like what does this man do? Okay. Mm-hmm. like how does he make a living? Where is he getting his haircut? It's just, I mean, he just like, and that's the thing, he's not an everyday in the mixed coon. It's just once or twice a year he comes out of like he just comes down from the coon mountain, says
like the Headless
something,
Horseman.
yeah, and just says something so fucked up. And then everybody's like, what the fuck? Well, I thought he died, you know, and then he just ascends back,
just goes away
to his coon cavern and we just be like, damn, man, I guess we forget about him. I don't even know. He's like Dwayne Wade or something. Like we're like, he in the Hall of Fame, but we don't see him on the Mount Rushmore of great players, but somehow he has many great performances. And this may be one of his greatest of all time because everybody was mad at this man. Like, oh my God, he was in his bag, bro. There's no line of respectability and racism he won't cross. You know, who can out-coon this man when he's in the zone? Not even her.
I mean, Ye, maybe.
Ye
be going on these same shows and he be like publicly declared, I don't read. Like, you know, it's pretty bad.
But the thing about Ye is that now, jokes aside, I mean, if we're gonna go coon stats here, like, I mean, let's keep it real.
We gotta keep it real.
Jason, he's been in it for a long time. Like, he is consistent. Yes. He's somebody that you call him off the bench, you know he gonna put up some good cooning numbers. Like, he ain't gonna be out here fucking around. He gonna be like, I got 5 minutes. Here's my double. I got 3 minutes or less. I can go. You know, Kanye's kind of new to it. You know, he ain't been out here long. He need a little bit more practice. He'll make you mad and upset, but he doesn't have them consistent. You know,
you don't have the
game
work
numbers.
You don't have
how to travel on the road or nothing.
You don't have a work ethic to put it in on a daily basis. But it's just like when he's able to be unbelievably offensive, he just can't stop. You can't contain him. Okay, you just hope that he starts to miss because he'll go where no other coon will travel. He's a staple in the cooning lexicon, and I have to just give him all of his credit because I mean, honestly, this was 10 out of 10 Uncle Ruckuses for me when I saw this. I was like, nobody's gonna beat this performance, and it's January. Nobody's gonna out-coon this. The thing with Kanye is that we don't take him seriously,
right?
So like he don't even like he thinks he wants to be taken seriously, but it's hard to take a man seriously as wearing like a full face mask and yelling every other word and getting up from the table and talking to Nori. You know, like it's harder to take him seriously. Jason Whitlock is like taken seriously by the racist people that want to take him seriously. Like Kanye not in control, so he'll say something that's beyond the racial pale, like I hate the Jews too, and then it's like, well, okay, we can't say that. You know what I'm saying? But like Whitlock will stay in the pocket of what white supremacy needs.
He's very consistent at his numbers. I mean, he will not let you down.
Yeah, I hate to give it to him, you know what I'm saying? But
I'm provoked. He'll just be like, now I know those welfare queens that they were talking about. I know all 7 of them. Like, he's like, I'll give you the names and addresses. Now, let's talk about Letitia. Okay, she lives in Houston, Texas.
Amazing Conan.
And the thing about him, like Kanye, he keep himself contained. That's the thing. Kanye, he looks unraveled.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
This is a coon that will come out and he does not sweat underneath the coon lights.
Also, we know too much about Kanye's personal life. So we don't know. The only thing we know about this man, Jason Whitlock, is that he's a coon.
That's fair.
Have y'all ever thought about that? We don't see this man in public. We don't know if he's married. We don't know. We don't know if this motherfucker like. We don't even know where he goes to eat. We just assume it's Cracker Barrel. You know what I'm saying? Like no one has ever seen. He could be an artificial intelligence. Okay, this could be some motherfucking type of CGI that we are watching that Fox News has turned up because we never see this man anywhere. He could have died in 2003 and been replaced by a coon clone, and we will never know because this man only exists to coon. He is iconic. Okay, this man is an icon. And I just have to give him his credit, okay? Like he has a real penchant for delivering the coup de grace when it comes to talking about these things. He just comes in, bam, hit you with the death blow, and you like, yo, there's nothing left to say. I haven't even seen other coons pick up the mantle after he said this because there's nothing left to say. He left no meat on the bone, bro. Shout out to him, bro. You did it, Jason Whitlock, or Whitelick, as I like to call him. You did it, bro. You out-cooned the best of them, and when it's time for the fucking the Oscar version of the Coon Awards, which I call the Clarences, when it's time for the Clarences,
oh no,
bro, you gonna get Coon of the Year. Cause
he'll dance up on stage. He'll enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, he will soft shoe all the way down the aisle to get that motherfucking butter biscuit. God damn, you good, boy. Woo. All right, we got to get out of this conversation. I've held y'all too long. There's sports happening, and we got to go. We'll do one last thing, which is we got to talk about sword ratchetness, okay? Because no matter what, we always make time to tell y'all and warn y'all about these swords. All right, sword ratchetness. Let's talk about it. Drunk Illinois swashbuckler threatens roommate with a cane sword.
Not swashbuckler,
right?
What is we on the open 7 seas?
Maybe they're trying to start drunk sword history.
Oh, you don't want that. That's dangerous.
Yeah, sharp points.
South.
See, everybody gonna get the point.
This happened in the city of Champaign. Two roommates were arguing. And
as they do.
You know how it is. The first roommate, Jeremiah, started drinking a lot. That caused him to begin acting strange.
Not strange.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
is this an article? You read this verbatim? Like, that's a wild description.
Article.
It's actually, honestly, the article is a little sassier than that. Even I mean, if I was reading it word for word, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" But one evening, he pulled out a cane sword, and the cops got called. And once the man called 911, the police arrived. They questioned Jeremiah, and he explained that the whole thing was a joke. Now, who joke like that?
What? That's not funny.
If I start arguing with you and you pull out a weapon, what's the joke?
The joke is I'm gonna die. Like,
if your article sound like you got a parrot on your shoulder, what's the joke?
Ha ha! I bet you thought I was gonna kill you because we was fighting and I pulled out a weapon. Ain't that funny? The suspect told officers that the blade wasn't even sharp and couldn't cut anyone. Then they arrested him because that is always a lie.
Does he not know a butter knife still cut butter? So I don't know what you're talking about. It's still cut.
It's always a lie. Why would someone make a sword that can't cut? That don't even make sense, dummy. All them things are weapons. And if it can't cut, it can bash your brains in. Like, fuck out of here, dude. So
it can nick you something.
Be careful out there, y'all. All right. You see a cane sword in somebody's house, or you get a new roommate and they want to move in and be like, let me put my cane sword on the wall. Just go ahead and move out. It's no
like if anyone moves in with you and they got weapons, if they trying to look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like you don't need to live with that person. Like Justin and Brown, my co-host, he's like always like, yeah, I got these size. I'm like, I would never want to live with you, bro, because I don't trust that you know how to use those, and if you try to, I don't trust that I'll be safe.
Right, and that's why I don't be coming down everybody's house, because you think they cool, and you walk in, you see motherfucking some nunchucks on the wall, and you like, bro, you supposed to tell people you into this so they can know not to hang out. Like, we gotta hang out on neutral ground or some shit. I'm not coming to your house and being on my own news segment. Brandon, tell everybody where to find you and the support Drunk Black History.
Yeah, folks, y'all can follow me at American Collins on all social media platforms. I have the podcast Media Popcorn that's available on all podcast applications. And of course, I have Drunk Black History. Our next show is on Thursday, February 23rd at the Bell House of Brooklyn. It's with hosted by myself and Gordon Baker Bone. And we have a dope lineup of talent that are going to talk about Black historical figures and events that haven't gotten their due. You can get tickets at drunkblackhistory.com. I just put the link in the chat, but drunkblackhistory.com is where you can get tickets for both in person and live stream. We have both of those options available, but hopefully you can make it out in person because the energy, like Rod said earlier, it's another level. You can't quite get it through the live stream, but we try, as much as we can. So hopefully you all can make it out and celebrate some Black history with us.
Do that, y'all. We support Black history around here. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Bye, Brandon. Talk to you later, bro.
Thank you, guys.